Shelo lichroth berith la'odeh avodah zarah. That's the halacha we just spoke about in Perek Asiri a moment ago. Not to them or to treat them in a positive way. Shelo yeshavu ba'arzenu, that they should not dwell in our land. This is an interesting concept, which we'll see later, which many ostensibly religious Jews have a lot of difficulty with because they are thinking in foreign terms. I'm sure all of you, I certainly can attest to this in my own experience. Many Jews who keep Shabbat, who keep Kasher, who go to Beth Knesset even 3 times a day, if you tell them that the cannot be in our land for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is that they wish to exterminate us. That might be just one reasonably convincing argument, but there are others, many others, in fact. If you suggest this to them, what will they do? They will first of all go into a state of shock, almost catatonic shock. They're almost unable to speak sometimes. How can you say such a thing? It's undemocratic. They're citizens. If you're talking about so-called Israelis, just like you do, they have every right to do this, that, or the other. For example, I think I mentioned in a certain gathering of residents in my yeshuv some time ago, so a certain person stood up and opined that we cannot prevent so-called entering the yeshuv. It's against the law. So someone pointed out that, in other words, you're suggesting that it's perfectly okay if one of these people enters the yeshuv and kills someone in the yeshuv, as long as it's done according to the law. Well, that's not my position, and I imagine neither is it your position. They will tell you that, and it's not all of them; it's only some of them, and there are many who just want to live in peace and look after their families, etc. Which is very interesting because if it were so few who are really our enemies, and then it's interesting how all those that very small and insignificant number of people always manage to be everywhere at the same time, throwing rocks, shooting guns, doing whatever. I mean, I know a young man just the other day, literally, he was driving somewhere right next to Kiryat Arba, and some Arabs somehow they have uprooted a road sign from the side of the road with the concrete base. So they've uprooted that all, and they somehow managed to place it in the road. And anyhow, he drove over it and damaged his car. Baruch Hashem, he wasn't injured himself, but his car was damaged, as you might imagine. It's interesting how that tiny minority is always is everywhere at the same time doing these things. It's really they must be working overtime. Very impressive on their part how energetic and industrious they are. And similar arguments, exactly the kinds of things we said a moment ago that should not be saying about our enemies. That lo lamed alehem zechut, as we said, this was in Miswa יודלת לא לאהוב את המסית, שלא לעזוב שנאתו, שלא להסית לו, שלא ללמד עליו זכות, שלא להימנע מלמד עליו חובה. Exactly the same must apply to our physical enemies. Why would it not apply? It's obvious. But apparently to some it's not so obvious. It's like the expression common sense. A wise man once said that I don't use that term as it isn't.